Okay, in this part of the Your Questions videos, we have a question from Ionica Geometry, and he says all your videos are fantastic, thanks. Thank you, happy to hear that. I'm interested in using this for motion graphics. Is there a way to animate any of this? Is there an audio controller? That will be awesome. Okay, so in this video tutorial, I will break this down into two basically questions. One is to animate in Grasshopper, and the next is to use audio and control it into Grasshopper. So the first tutorial I will talk about how we can use the time to control points. You can see that I'm controlling this point in the space, and it's just changing and moving. I can just pause the animation whenever I want, and we can see this from the top, and you can see that this goes into a pattern. So this will be the first part of the tutorial. The next part will be about sound and how we can use the sound to show it in a geometry. You can see I'm talking and this will affect these circles, and I'm also, as I'm talking, my sound is coming out from here. So you can see that the sound comes, and I'm just using a simple polyline tool or a line tool to show my sound in a geometry. So basically this tutorial will be in two parts, one for animation and the second will be for the sound. I'm going to first make a point from the vector section and using a construct point. And let me put the bifocal so you can see the tools, and let me give a number here. Okay, and now I'm going to rotate this rotate 3D this point. I give a number to this because I want to first make an animation of a move simply rotating around the center of the plane and an axis of Z. So you can see first how we can simply rotate a point, and then we're going to move forward and make it more complicated. So if we have a point here, we can rotate this around the center. The axis is Z, basically we can change it here, and the degree, I'm going to give this angle a degree, and maybe from 0 to 360 degrees. Okay, so you can see that I'm rotating this point around the center. The number slider has a simple technique which you can have each frames of this rotation in an image. You can simply right click on the number slider and use the animate. This is a simple one, but you can use it sometimes, and set the animate. Change the view if you want. You can set it to the top, front, right, or perspective. You can change the resolution, and you can say how many frames you want. So maybe I want 300 frames. You can include a tag inside your image so it says the number of the frames, and you can also name the image as rotation, and let's just save this to a new folder. Okay, and when you click OK, you have 300 frames. It will change the number and take pictures. Okay, so basically this will be the most simple way you can make animation of a number slider. If you want to change it step by step and have a picture from it, and now you can see that I have okay, in this part you're going to see going to stop so the number slider finishes the 300 frames now. Okay, so we reached the end and we had 300 frames from the rotation, and now you can see we have all the frames and all the pictures here. You can check this out. You can see each frame increasing, and you can easily assemble these pictures in a software and make an animation if you want. So I don't recommend this, but you can use it if you want each of the each of the changing numbers, you want to see each of the designs, it can be useful to have different designs with different number sliders, and it will be okay. But for now, I'm not going to use this technique. The technique will be to change this number with an automatic tool. So I'm going to first make an integer and set this to 1, and this will be a 1 number. Now I'm going to use a timer and a recorder. So we need basically two tools, a data recorder and a timer. Now I'm going to connect this 1 to a data recorder, and you can change the timer from 1 second to maybe 50 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds. And now if I connect, okay, the data recorder just recorded a 1. Now if I connect this to the data recorder, you can see that it will increase and record number 1 again and again for each 20 milliseconds. Now we can go to the math and use the mass addition tool. I'm going to move this and give this a mass addition, and now you can see that basically I'm using these simple tools to produce a timer. So we can just hit this button and start from 0. We can double click on the timer and stop it or pause it, and you can also make it from 0 again. And this is the most simple tool you can make to produce a timer. So now if I connect this to the angle, you can see that I'm making a rotation. From here I can increase or decrease the speed for making it 1 second each interval, and we can also increase the speed. Let's just turn this off by multiplying the number. I mean, when we have the mass addition, we can say we want 8 times this speed for rotation, so we can just increase the speed of the animation. So this is the first step you can use to produce simple animation. You can just hit this button and start from 0, and you can also pause it whenever you want and again continue. So this is a simple method you can use for your model. So now I'm going to rotate again this point. Now we're going to make another point. So this is a simple technique. We can now make another point from this point and rotate this around this one. So if we rotate a point around another rotating point, we will have a similar approach that you saw in the algorithm. The sphere will rotate around another sphere, and this will produce beautiful curves. You can make rotating curves too by just recording the points. So now I'm going to again move this. Now I'm going to move this point. So we need a vector to move this point in this direction, so we can now rotate this around the point. And we can simply use a vector and a vector 2 points now, and start from 0. Okay, I'm going to start from 0, and the point B will be the point here. So we made a vector now, and now we're going to move this based on this vector, and we can just make it a unitize, because if you unitize it, we will have a unit vector in this direction. And now we can multiply it to the math and give it maybe 5.6, give this to the result, and now we can just move this point from that. So if I again double click on the timer, you can see a simple rotating point around another one. And now, that's the important part, we can rotate again this point around the center. So I'm going to use a rotation again, rotate 3D, rotate this point around this point in the same axis and with a degree. And now we can use this timer again with another speed, maybe just 4, and give this to the degree, and let's just turn this off. Okay, so now when we turn this on, you can see that they are rotating based on different speeds, and that will make an animation of those points. We can connect a sphere to this one. Maybe it's a 2.5. And we can also connect another sphere here to this. Make this bigger. Okay. So you can see that it's rotating around this one. This is just for visualization. We can delete this. And now we can record this point with the tool. So we have the record data recorder tool. We just connect this, and you can see that those points, the trace of those points will be recorded. And we can simply go to the curve and interpolate that into a curve. Just turn this off and turn this off. You can see we made that. We can just click on this icon and delete the curve and start from scratch. We can change the numbers. Let's just have a speed more than 10. So maybe it's just a 20, and let's start from scratch. You can see that the point is rotating more faster than the first point, so it's drawing something new. Okay, and we can also play with this multiplication and change the distance between the first point and the second point, and then again start from scratch. Now you can see that I'm drawing something new. So this is the technique you can use. You can play with these numbers. These numbers can affect the results, and always we can have this stopped by double clicking on the timer, and we can reset the start from scratch and again reset the curve drawing technique to draw that. So this is the technique you can use. You can also move this point in the Z direction. So I'm going to use another move tool and move this in the Z direction, and assume that we want it to go up and down. So something that goes up and down is the sign. Okay, the sign will go from -1 to +1, and I'm going to give this a multiplication. The speed is so high, I'm going to just force this to maybe slow it a bit and then give it to a sign. If I give this to a Z, let's go to the Z and record this one. You can see that this will go just 1 up and -1 down. So we can't really just see this, but we can multiply this by a number. So maybe we want 8.5. Make it more higher. Maybe. Okay, and start from scratch. You can see that this will go up and down, and it will produce a very, very complicated curve here. And we can just decrease the speed, and then again start from scratch. You can see that the speed will decrease and again come down. So this will be a 3D curve. The top will be interesting, but the curve is basically going up and down. And so this was for the first part of the question, how we can make animation in Grasshopper, how we can just change the number slider. We can right click and animate it, and this is the technique you can use always. Okay, let's just make a pipe from this curve and make the surface. Okay, so this was for the first part. You can see that it's a really complicated curve. We can play with the numbers to get better results, and you can see that this is from the top view, and it really looks great and complicated. So this is how we can make the curves happen. In the next part, I'm going to talk about the sound, how you can insert sound into Grasshopper. You have to install the Firefly plugin and use the audio. So we'll talk this in the next part. So this is the first part about the animation and how we can use the data recorder and the timer to produce the animation. And for the next question, we have how we can use a volume. So basically, I'm going to show you how you can use the Firefly plugin to import voice. You can see as I'm talking here, the sound is showing it on some circles, and it's a simple one, but you can understand how you can use the sound or voice to produce geometry. So to start, we can go to the Firefly plugin and you can install it easily. In the audio section, you have the sound capture tool. So I'm going to put this in the sound capture, and the first input is the time period, and that's the time in seconds which the sound capture captures sounds. So here we use a timer now, exactly like the last tutorial, and I'm going to give this 20 millisecond, connect this to the sound capture. So this will be 0.02 seconds. And now we need a start and a stop sound capture. So it says, should I start to capture or should I stop? We can use a toggle, T-O-G, and here it goes, a Boolean toggle, and we use this toggle to connect this, and we can say start, and now you can see that the volume is coming out. So now basically you can see that I'm talking, and when I increase my sound, increase my voice, you can see the volume increasing, and when I don't talk, you can see that that just goes to zero, near zero. So how can we show sound into geometry? How can we import it? I'm going to use a circle here, and we need about 100 circles around each other to use this as a medium to show sound. So I'm going to move these circles up and down to show the sound. It's really easy. You can use a series here. You can go to the series. You can watch the series tutorial, and I'm going to start with a 2 and a step of 2 and 100 numbers. So if I give this to the radius, you can see that we will have we will start with a circle that its radius is 2, then it's going to go up 2, and again 2 to 100 circles. Okay, now we can use the sound, and how we can capture the sound is to use the record tool. Right click on it and go to the record limit. So I'm going to give this a limit and record about 100 of the volumes that is coming out from the sound capture. So if I connect this to the data recorder, you can see that it starts to capture the sound. Okay, it's going, and now we have 100 volume of my sound here. So we can use this as a data or a weight for the circles. We can move them easily in the Z direction, and we can even multiply a number to this data, so we can control it maybe from 0.2 to 2.000 and give this to the Z. Okay, and just turn this off, and you can see that my sound is coming from the borders into the inside of the circle. So when I just talk, you can see it goes up and down, and I didn't talk for that little short while. So if you want to start it from the inside to outside, you can just right click on the geometry and use the reverse tool. So the numbers will reverse and it will start from the center, and you can see that I'm talking, so these circles are moving up and down, and you can see this is the most simple example. You can see how we can import the sound into geometry. We can use it to move geometry. We can use it to let me show you in another one. So we can have a curve here and assume that we go to the curve tool and we go to the division. We use the division curve, divide curve, and now I'm going to set this to the curve, maybe divide it into 99 count, so we will have 100 points here. And now we can move these points. So I'm going to move these points in the Z direction, and exactly like the circles, and give this the multiplication. Okay, and just turn this off. You can see that as I'm talking, these points are going up and down. So just let's increase this. Okay, so my sound comes here, and now we can connect these dots. We can go to the polyline tool and connect these, turn the points off, and you can see simply I'm just producing my sound around this curve. You can also put a line here and connect the points to the moved points and have them in lines. So we can just turn this polyline off, and as I'm talking you can see that those lines are moving. We can use this for different things. Maybe you can use it for a water going up and down in a spring or something like that, or you can use this to just show the waves of your sound. We can just decrease this and see that, or we can just scale this circle. Okay, so this is the next example. You can see how we use the sound to produce geometry. We can also start to use a closed curve here, and then we need 100 points, because when you just divide a curve that is closed, it's going to give it the same number. The first and the end points will collide, and you can see as I'm talking the sound is rotating in this circle on and on and on again, and it will start from this starting point. Let me show you. So the sound is basically going from here and so on. So this is the example of the sound. So the question was about a volume or a sound, something like that. I wanted to show you how you can use it to get the sound into your Grasshopper design and use it. So we can have this in other ways. I will try to add some examples in the Grasshopper course in the Parametric House website. Okay, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, again, feel free to ask underneath the Grasshopper tutorial YouTube videos. I will try to answer them each Saturday, and we will talk about different things in Grasshopper, how we can use it to design things, and so on and so forth. Okay, thank you.